It's time for Around the Ozarks Wake Up Weather, sponsored by Scooters Coffee. Here's your host, meteorologist Abby Dyer.
Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, December 5th. I am Abby Dyer, and if you're watching the video element of the podcast today, you might notice that my background looks a little bit differently. I am traveling on the road, but the great thing about a podcast is that I can bring you with me. So good morning to everybody in the Ozarks. Temperatures there this morning in the 30s. It's a cold start, and we have numbers that are going to warm up into the 40s for highs this afternoon. We're looking at about 48 degrees for that high temperature. Overall, today, kind of a cold and windy day in the forecast, but I've got a whole lot of content in this weather forecast for you, so we'll dive right in this morning. We're starting out just above the freezing point, mid-30s for most. However, our friends back at the Boot Heel near Cape Girardeau, there are actually freezing fog advisories out this morning. So if you know anybody down there, maybe give them a heads up that conditions could be dangerous for them. We're not having that issue here in the Ozarks, and we really didn't get much at all out of any rainfall last night. Cold front is through, though, and a northwest wind is going to be strong today. That's my headline in the forecast today. Winds gusting 20 to even 30 miles an hour as we go through the course of the afternoon. It's going to be cold and kind of blustery. I have a frontal boundary that's draped across the Midwest. It's through for us here in the Ozarks, which will allow this kind of reinforcing shot of cold air into the region. High temperatures will stay in the 40s, as I mentioned, for a lot of us, but don't worry, the cooler weather is not here all week long. Either side of that 50-degree point for highs today, I'm going 48 degrees for the high temperature in Springfield. But by Thursday, we're back into the low and maybe even mid-60s. Gusty winds in the forecast, though, on Thursday. The difference is that they're out of the south on the end of the work week forecast. Unsettled weather is then going to move in for us for the weekend forecast. I really wanted to give you kind of an early warning about that because we could be dealing with really a powerful storm system that moves through for the weekend. So in comparison, this week and even today is quite tranquil, considering we could have a very powerful system coming our way Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, I'll tell you right now that there's still some uncertainty with this weekend storm system. I'm not trying to hype anybody up about it. I think we will get some rainfall, though, and potentially even some thunderstorms, maybe excessive rainfall. It's one to watch. Models have kind of wavered back and forth on what exactly they think is going to happen. At times, they've said, hey, we could get some wintry weather here. I'm not totally convinced that's going to happen. We're probably going to have warm air in place when this comes through, but somebody across the country by Sunday is going to get a whole lot of snowfall. I don't think it'll be at the Ozarks, but it will be somebody probably in the Midwest or maybe even the Ohio River Valley. So it's something to watch as the weekend gets a little bit closer. For us, I think this begins as a rainfall event on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. I mentioned the chance for a few thunderstorms as well. So it's something that I'm watching as it gets a little bit closer. I'll be fine-tuning some of the details for you. In comparison, today looks pretty calm, even though it's going to be windy. Northwest winds 20 to 30 miles an hour. Really not a nice day to be outside. We will have mostly cloudy skies in the eastern Ozarks today and then mostly sunny everywhere else. Temperatures, they're going to be warming by Wednesday. I think we're back into the mid-50s, 55 degrees, the high temperature tomorrow. We're in the low to mid-60s, about 63 by Thursday, and we should stay in the 60s on Friday. So I have a couple of warm ones for you this afternoon. What's making headlines around the country? Well, it's this atmospheric river for much of the West Coast. Torrential rain in a lot of places. In fact, Seattle setting the daily rainfall or day with highest rainfall amounts for Seattle yesterday across the Pacific Northwest. It's just been wet, and this is fueling that flood threat for our friends up in the Pacific Northwest. We also have a clipper system that's going to be bringing a rain-snow combo to the Great Lakes, and then that's all going to be marching eastward. And then a weekend storm system that could impact us here in the Ozarks that I touched on. Well, I think it could impact much of the country, especially the Ohio River Valley and the Northwest. The Northeast. So that is one to watch for sure. All right, it's time for the Around the Ozarks Wake Up Weather Brain Twister question, sponsored by Scooters Coffee. I really like this question. I always like these what is not the answer type of questions. So the question that I left you with yesterday was, which of these is not a real word? And the options were A, Bryfit, B, Pludes, C, Grolix, or D, Flinghorn? And if you know one of these, chances are you know the right answer because these are all kind of a category, the 3 correct ones. So the one that is not a real word is D, Flinghorn. Sounds like that could be a word. Flingorn. Not a real word. But the other 3 are Bryphit, Pludes, and Grolix. And I said they all kind of go in the same category. I'm going to walk you through what they are. Bryphit, it has a fairly narrow meaning. It's the cloud signifying in a cartoon that a character or object is leaving rapidly. So they get those little like lines behind them showing them they're storming out of a room or something is falling down. That's Bryphit. Pludes, along the same lines here, it's one of those stylized sweat drops drawn in the air around a character's head, as if it were coming out of the character. So, like a baby screaming, and you would see all these little like drops around its head to show you how hard it's screaming. And then Grolix is one of those. They use all those characters, those typographical symbols, in place of an obscenity. So you see somebody like with their fists in the air screaming and it's like exclamation points, question marks. That's called a grolix and it's used to show an expletive from a cartoon character. So if you're into comics, you might have known those 3 words, but the correct answer, if you entered the contest yesterday, was D, Flinghorn. Congrats if you got that one correct. Here's your next opportunity. It would be hard to socialize with this phobia. What is the fear of humans called? Do you think it is A, androphobia, B, anthropophobia, C, gynophobia, or D, phobophobia? I'll have the answer to that one tomorrow morning. That's coming up on Around the Ozarks Wake Up Weather on your Wednesday. So make sure you head to the website and submit your guess. You could win $20 to Scooter's Coffee. While you're there, you can also enter the 12 Days of Christmas giveaway. I told you about this yesterday. Super fun giveaways happening. You can win gift cards from fantastic restaurants in the Ozarks, tickets to some of the area events, or the grand prize. And I have to correct myself from yesterday. I was very disappointed. I was doing my podcast and you heard me say the grand prize winner is a signed jersey by former Kansas City Chiefs star Dwayne. And I said Bowie. And I said Bowie because I looked this up. I went to Google and I said, hey, Google, how do you pronounce Dwayne Bowie, the American football player? And it led me astray because it said Bowie. So that's what I went with. And then my husband overheard me doing my podcast from the office. And he said, hey, it's not Bowie, it's Bo. And I was like, no, I looked it up. And sure enough, I reviewed the tapes. It is Bo. So you can get a signed jersey from former Kansas City Chiefs star Dwayne Bowe instead of David Bowie. See, I just can't say the name. It's Dwayne Bowe who's going to sign the jersey. Be a super cool prize. You should enter. 12 Days of Christmas with Around the Ozarks. It's going to be a whole lot of great prizes. That's the point. Make sure you enter to win. You can't miss out on it and answer the trivia question while you're on the website. I will chat with you all early tomorrow morning. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you tomorrow.